Hi everybody. So I have my aunts and my uncles watching me today for my speech. Let's get started. Okay. So hello everybody. My name is Stephanie Valdez, and today I will be paying tribute to my older brother Louis. My older brother Louis is 3 years older than me. I am 23 and he is 26. And growing up, it was just us two, so I didn't really have any other option to look up to him. But I could have had anybody else to look up to, but I had him, which I am extremely grateful because Louis has always made every right decision. He's set a high standard for me and he's set an amazing path for me. Growing up, he has shown me what resilience, strength, and passion is. And he, like I said, just set such a great example for me growing up. And once you hear his story, you'll understand why. So growing up, my parents would always give us these flashcards. They were education flashcards, social studies, science, math, all of it. And I was always drawn towards the mathematics cards. Like I loved subtraction, addition, multiplication, all of it. And it always stuck with me growing up. I was always top of the class in math. I loved math. I still do to this day. And my brother, on the other hand, well, he loved everything. He was always just naturally good at every subject. And I remember growing up, like even now, you could ask him any country, any state, he will know it, he will name it. You can show him, like he just knows everything. It's crazy. Like he was just so smart. And growing up, he also loved to be asked trivia questions for fun. I remember going on car rides with my dad, or even being in his room just hanging out with my dad and my brother, and we would just be asking each other trivia questions for fun, which I thought was really funny. And just looking back at it, like it's a really good and nice core memory to have. And my brother's just always accelerated in school. He's always just been top of the class. He's always been on the dean's honors, principal's list, you name it. And I'm talking about elementary, middle school, high school, college. Like he has always been so good at school. And you're probably asking like why? You know, it wasn't always just those flashcards, but it's more to it. You know, it's more that pushes you in school. And like there's two main reasons that push my brother, and one of them is, you know, being the oldest. He didn't have anybody to look up to. He didn't have anybody to ask questions. So my brother growing up, he had to figure it out all out by himself. You know, that was one question that I asked him in the interview was it hard being the oldest? You know, and obviously, you know, he mentioned it was, you know, it was hard because like I said, he didn't have anybody to help him. He didn't have anybody to set a path for him. He was first generation. My parents didn't graduate college. So he was the first to do it in our family. So props to him for doing that. And because he set a path for me as well. And second to that, he also, another thing that motivated him in school was because it was kind of like a way to prove himself to my parents. Growing up, he had to hide his sexuality from my parents. It was something that was very, very hard for him. That's also like, apart from it motivating him in school, was also a really big challenge for him growing up. My parents, we grew up in a very cultured family, Hispanic, and he was very pressured to be machista, like very manly. Growing up, my mom would also put pressure on him to date like certain women, and it was hard for him growing up because, like I said, he obviously grew up the opposite of that, and he had to hide it from all of us for like a while. You know, it took up until high school for him to tell me and come out to me, which at the time I feel like I knew, but growing up I had no idea, which is very heartbreaking as a sister because knowing he hid it that good for so long, it's very hard on me. But of course I was very supportive of him. And as for my mom and my dad took it pretty well. My dad has always been very supportive. He's always just been like the nicest father ever. I can't complain about him. And as for my mom, she's more of the cultured one, so she took it kind of hard, you know. Once she heard the news, it changed the environment in our house for a while, and it took her, I'd say, a couple years for her to kind of accept it. Even now, it's a little rough, but it's definitely a lot better than before. But yeah, so growing up, that was very hard on my brother. It kind of ruined his trust with my parents, but now a lot of things are better, but it shaped him a lot as a person, and I'm just so glad that now he's able to express himself as a person. And like I mentioned, going back to what motivated him in school, so that is something that pushed him very hard in school. Because of that, he was able to accomplish his bachelor's degree and his master's degree at USC College. And I am extremely proud of him because that is not something a lot of people can do, and he did that all on time. And he is just very extremely motivating to look at as a person because he dealt with a lot of challenges and he had a lot of battles. And one challenge that he mentioned was school. You know, he mentioned in an interview that he had a social work program that was pretty challenging for him, but he was able to overcome it. You know, he mentioned the material got harder and a lot of things got, you know, papers got longer and school got trickier, but he was able to overcome it. And not only that, but he bought himself a car. He bought a Jeep Wrangler car, which was actually our dream car growing up, but just to see him be able to accomplish that is just amazing. And I'm just so extremely proud of him as as a little sister. I'm so grateful to have him to set a path for me, and I hope that after hearing his story, it motivates a lot of you young people or even older people that you can accomplish anything, no matter what you go through. As long as you're passionate enough about it, you can accomplish whatever it is on your mind. Thank you. Oops.